Good evening. Welcome to our board meeting. We're glad that everyone is here this evening. Tonight we have with us Dr. Ron Godbolt, who is from Word of Truth Ministry, to lead us in our invocation. It'll be followed by the Boy Scouts of America leading us in our pledge. It's Troop 1716G. So at this time, I'll turn it over to Pastor Godbolt, and then that'll be followed by the Scouts. All please rise.
Before I pray, I want to thank you for your support of our service, the resurrection. We had a big crowd and cold weather, but we made it. And we do have a National Day of Prayer this Thursday at 12 noon here on the ground. So please come out and support us. Father, we thank you for this day. We thank you for blessing us to come together. Thank you for this Hope Meals board. We pray now that you give them wisdom as Solomon had wisdom to lead his people. Give them the wisdom they need to make decisions for this community. We thank you for their lives, their commitment, and we pray you continue to bless them and their families. We thank you for our men and women, military that risk their lives, that we can have these freedoms that we have in this country. For that, we give you all the glory, and we give your mighty name all the praise. We thank you for what you've already done and what you continue to do for your people. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Amen.
Please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. And before you're seated, I'd like to present you with certificates. If y'all stay right there, everyone else can be seated. I'll keep the girls and Scouts up here at the podium. We have a certificate for each of you, and this is actually the second time we've done this. In recognition and appreciation of your public service to the town of Hope Mills, your participation in leading the Pledge of Allegiance at the May 1st, 2023 board meeting. This is Adeline Van Dyke, okay? Arian Smith, okay? And this was Jason, okay? Olivia Classy, all right? And Michaela? All right, we got you. All right, y'all turn around if you want to take your pictures. They're not here. Get together so you can take your picture. Back up some. All right, we can do it. Wherever you just tell us, we got it.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you. Next, we have approval of our agenda. I know that we've done, is there any deletions to this agenda? Okay. All those in favor? The consent reports and concerns. Okay. Do I have a motion to approve the agenda that's before you? Do I have a second? All those in favor signify by raising your right hand. Seeing none opposed. Next, we have official comments, and this evening I'll start with Commissioner Legg.
Thank you very much, Mayor. Good to see you out this evening. Looks like we're getting almost overcome, but don't quit yet. Appreciate everyone who come out tonight. It's actually nice to see you here. Scout group, great job. Way to go. Just want us to continue to remember our first responders on an everyday basis. That'll be all for me, Mayor.
Okay, Commissioner Mitchell.
Good evening. Thanks everyone for coming out. Hope we have a very productive and informative meeting. Thank you.
Okay, Commissioner Raleigh.
I don't have anything this time, man.
Okay, Commissioner Raleigh.
Well, thank everyone for coming out. It's always good when we have citizens that come join us and good stuff. That's all I have here.
Okay, and I have just, from our Parks and Rec Department, they would like to recognize and thank Hope Mills Youth Association volunteers for the extraordinary efforts in assisting Hope Mills Parks and Rec in 2023 opening day ceremonies. Their coordination and volunteer efforts were invaluable to a successful event, and The town looks forward to working with the HMYA again for an amazing 2024 event. Again, this came from our Parks and Rec department. They asked me to read this evening. And one other thing that I did want to mention, and that is we didn't actually put it under presentations, but this is Lupus Awareness Month, and it is the month of May, and we do have, and have done this in the past, it's recognized in the town of Oak Mills. All right.
Oh, no, I just wanted to have a wish, our clerk, James Starling, a happy belated administrative professional day. I think we forgot to do that in our last meeting, so her and our assistant, Tiffany Shading, so thank you for all you do.
Thank you.
All right, next we have presentations, and I'd like to recognize with us a distinguished member of our House of Representatives, District 45, Dr. Francis Jackson.
Thank you so much for having me this evening. I consider myself as being home, and I hope you all do too. I am reading greetings from the North Carolina General Assembly, and I just want to bring you all an update on our budget process and what I have as your representative have put in the budget. We met with you all about 2 months ago, and we included the projects that you all requested. I added Grays Creek, and I think we told you all at that time that water would be number one for us as a priority, because we know that it's adjacent to us. So along with that, we also included the projects you requested. We included the Heritage Park and the Municipal Park, inclusive the playground splash pad, and the Town Lake Development Phase. Now, all of these projects were approved in Governor Cooper's budget. However, you all know that the House prepared their budget too, so I did submit them again, hoping and praying that they are approved again. So our requests are going over to the Senate this week. This is what we call crossover week. Our projects and bills go to them, and theirs come to us. And what I'm hoping, I'm working very hard, and I think that the entire delegation, we're working to make sure that all of those projects stay in the budget. So I just want to make you all aware of that. In addition to that, I wanted to mention to you all that there is a bill coming through that I'm almost sure will be approved, and I'm telling you, just to make you aware, and so that our town manager will prepare. But there's a 25-year service retirement that's coming, that not only for firemen but also for police officers and EMT workers. So I don't know how many of those individuals may take liberty with that. Once it's approved, it won't be approved, I don't think until June it will be finished. But just giving you a heads up that, because they asked me to put it in. So I do know that some of your people are, some of your workers, some of your employees are interested in that bill passing. So if it does, just to make you aware, you may have some people put it in for that. So I just want to make you aware of that. And I'm also glad to let you all know that those of you who are state retirees, they gave you a 2% raise. So you're glad to hear that. And our educators, 10% over the next 2 years. So hopefully we can maintain and recruit new teachers and retain the ones that we have. Also, we restore master's pay. So you will know that this the school, those who are educators in our community will be glad to hear that. So anyway, I just wanted to bring that to you. Are there any questions that you have of me? I do know that I have a request from you, Mayor, that I did get late last week. I'm going to honor with a request for the letter of support. I will be getting that to you. So are there any questions that you all have of me? Any additional desires or anything, sir? You?
We appreciate you being here. We appreciate your support.
Okay, and thank you. And I'm gonna try to come more often. Things are slowing down now. So, but then again, they're picking up. But anyway, I'm gonna try to come more often to you all's meetings in case you all have some questions.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you so much.
Good to see you. Thank you, Dr. Jackson. And I next have a proclamation, and this is the freedom to be kind. It's one we can all embrace. Whereas people should stand up for their right, freedom to be kind, this freedom should ring in our homes, schools, and workplaces, anywhere in which people come together. Whereas the following acronym is a helpful reminder to be kind. F, be friendly, open the door, or speak to someone who may be feeling down or doesn't have a friend. R, be real, not fake, or else your effort is useless. E, be equitable, include everyone and not just the people you like. The real challenge is showing kindness to those that may not be nice in return. E, do it every day, not just on your good days or when you feel like it. D, be deliberate in your actions, acts of kindness, because to do that, one person, it matters. Now therefore be it resolved that I, Jackie Warner, Mayor of the Town of Pope Mills, do hereby proclaim Saturday, May 6th as Kindness Day in the Town of Pope Mills, and urge all citizens to join Ms. Jenna Grace Nance in promoting the freedom to be kind across all cultures, ages, and genders. And this will be held at the Balm of Gilead on Dock Bennett Road. I think that's where it's located. This actual day where you will be there. Next, we have a presentation of the manager's recommended proposed fiscal year 2023-2024 budget. I'm going to turn it over to Mr. McLaughlin and Mr. Hall.
All right. The
I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
Jane. Okay.
All my pens are up here, gone.
Oh.
All I got is highlighters, but she's got, Dr. Price will hum for one.
Thank you, sir. Fine, man.
You guys ready? All right, the budget message. Our team strives to maintain a positive balance of commercial and residential growth to enhance the town's ability to improve services and provide our citizens a strong investment in the town's future. With wise and strategic planning, funding and scheduling of necessary capital projects, beneficial partnerships that provide opportunities to leverage funding for improvements, and promoting the highest standards of customer service for our citizens, we strive to achieve excellence. In accordance with the requirements of the NC General Statutes, I hereby submit the proposed budget for fiscal year July 1, 2023 through June 30th, 2024 for the town of Hope Mills. Highlights of the proposed fiscal year 2023-2024 budget are as follows. In terms of revenues in the general fund, ad valorem taxes, $5,429,150. Estimate is based on a 99.70% collection rate with an approximate tax base of $1,183,803,000, keeping the existing tax rate at 46 cents per $100 valuation. It is the board's choice whether to increase the tax rate as 1 cent equals $133,438. Outlined is also the recreation tax, the solid waste fees. As it relates to the state's shared revenues, the state share revenues are estimated based primarily on previous year's distributions. Largest receipts from the state are sales tax and utility franchise tax. These have been budgeted at $4,997,200 and $858,500 respectively. The town's sales tax distribution has been modified with the county's new interlocal agreement that fiscal year 22 is the base year, and any revenue increase in sales tax over the base year will be apportioned to the county for fiscal year 24 and fiscal year 25. As it relates to fund balance, $540,275 of unreserved, undesignated fund balance is recommended for this budget for one-time capital items. An additional $533,750 is included for the board's consideration for using reserve funds to replace the decrease in sales tax revenues. As it relates to expenditures in the general fund, outlined is the capital outlay, personnel, cost of a living adjustment, employee benefits, debt service, and ongoing projects. As it relates to revenues in the Power Bill Fund is outlined, expenditures are outlined in the Power Bill Fund. Also, revenues and expenditures in the Stormwater Fund are outlined. As we proceed into the next few years, we will continue to evaluate projects and personnel needs as they relate to the provision of services as we continue to outpace much of the area with our growth. We have several projects which we will continue to complete during this fiscal year. Therefore, it will be important to prioritize programming needs with future budgets. In conclusion, town staff has been instrumental in the development of this document. I commend them for their hard work in submitting requests that control costs while providing enhanced service levels. A goal of mine is to unite our town commissioners, management team, and our citizens. I would like to say a special thanks to our department heads, especially our finance director, for their time and effort in the preparation of this document. Without their help, this budget could not have been developed to address both present and future service needs. Now I'd like to turn it over to any questions that you may have, and our finance director, Drew Holland, will answer any detailed questions.
Just to go over real quick, what you have in your book, you've done a budget before, I believe all of you have the same setup as before. The whole front section is the actual budget document itself. It's got, there's a table of contents. You just heard the budget message. You've got the general fund and power bill, then the stormwater, then the capital assets that are approved, and you've got the position chart, and then you've got the fee schedule. So everything new in the fee schedule is highlighted in red. And then the back section of your book, the tabs, each tab is a separate department, and all the justification and request sheets are behind those tabs for each individual department. So as the town manager mentioned, any questions that you have now?
Does anybody from the board have any questions?
Not at the present time, Madam Mayor.
I do think we need to set the budget workshop
Yes.
at some point. I think the suggested dates are the 15th. We typically do it at 5:30, but set
Let's see this.
Drew, I believe that you guys have done an excellent job in preparing all this. No matter what we do in the budget workshop somewhere else, when it comes back to be put down on paper, that's where the important part is. And I thank you for all your work, the whole town staff.
Thank you. It's definitely a team effort, but it is a lot of work.
15th look okay for everybody.
You want 5 or 5:30?
What works for you and Ryan? That she don't have.
I just want to make sure we have enough time.
I said start early as we can.
Okay.
5 o'clock.
Right.
On October 15th?
Yes.
Okay.
Thank you, Mr. Allen.
Thank y'all.
Let's make sure.
I would like to mention, if you do have questions for the workshop, it does help out if you can send them to the manager or myself prior to, so if there's any, things we have to, research and get together, we can come to the meeting prepared. So, that definitely helps out if you're able to send those in advance. You can send them either to myself or the manager, and if you do have any questions on anything in here, again, Chancellor or myself, we can answer those. Thank you.
So good.
Thank you.
Let's go through the dates and times again, please.
May 15th at 5 o'clock p.m.
5 p.m.
Thank you.
They'll be online later this week. The website.
Public hearings, annexation 2023-04, Common County parcel number 0423-16-0821, a non-contiguous annexation which equals 11.165 acres plus or minus, belongs to the Hyde Family Properties LLC, registered in plat book 149 on page 120 in the Common County Register of Deeds office. And I'll turn it over to Emily. Thank you.
Thank you.
As the mayor stated, we have the annexation today request. Commonwealth Mills received an annexation petition for 11.40 acres of land from Castle Southeast Realty Services, the agent, on behalf of Hyde Family Properties LLC, who's the owner. Tied to PIN number 0423-16-0821. Subject properties adjacent to other industrial and commercially zoned properties that are currently located in the county, as well as backing up to a residential neighborhood, and is across the street from Camping World, all of which are also in the county. Access to the property will be from US Highway 301 South. Board of Commissioners approved Resolution R 2023-14 on April 17, 2023, fixing the public hearing to today's meeting, May 1st, 2023. Staff is requesting authorization to proceed with initial zoning of the property under the MLP Planned Light Industrial District. Here's a sketch map showing the location. Something else I didn't put in there is directly south is offshore grading as well. But if there's no other further questions of me, I ask that the floor be opened up for public comment.
Motion to open the public hearing.
Okay, is there anyone here that would like to speak in favor of this? Anyone in opposition?
Motion to close the public hearing.
Public hearing closed. Do we have any questions from the board or in reference to this?
I can imagine.
Okay,
So it's currently C3 commercial, correct?
Correct.
And so, in the initial zoning, looking for M1P, is that correct?
Yes.
What is M1P?
It means light industrial,
Industrial?
planned light industrial.
Okay. How does that differ from C3?
I answer that. Basically, you can do, what they're doing is Frito-Lay Distribution Center. They can do both under that CP or M1P. But a lot of people don't realize that the highest return on tax value is industrial land. And so as we are looking to facilitate more industrially zoned properties in Hope Mills, we reached out to the developer to see if they'd be open to the light industrial district, which they are. So they can do the development under each one. It will end up being an amendment to the Southwest Plan, but the industrial designation allows us to push for job creation and things of that nature, but it's a higher return on tax value.
I just have one. And the letters have gone out to that neighborhood that's right next to it. That is the neighborhood, right?
Yes,
And then, okay.
it's Colonial Heights, currently in the county.
anyone else?
I'd like to make a motion to approve annexation 2023-04, authorize staff to begin the initial zoning process to designate the property as M1P Planned Light Industrial District.
Second.
A motion and a second. Any other discussion? All those in favor, signify by raising your right hand. Seeing none opposed. Thank you much. Thank you. Public comments. We do have two who signed up for public comments. You'll just come to the microphone and give your name and address, and you have 3 minutes. And it's Trevor Harwell. Did I say that right?
You get there, Mayor. Good.
Okay.
Good afternoon, everybody. I am Beaver Harwell. My address is 3905 Rockingham Road, Hope Mills, North Carolina, 2848. I'm irrelevant, 26 years, 4 months. And basically, I wanted to come up here today and just give you guys get some kudos and everything. I think that God has led me here to say that Town of Hope Mills, it's time for us to rise and set a example for everybody else to follow. And what I mean by that is everybody working together as one to show the world that everybody can get along together and we do great things in our community. And with that said, we have to come together as one in the community and to uplift our community as well, take care of our community as a whole. It don't start with you guys, it starts with everybody in the community as far as who live in the community as a whole, that we all need to start coming together and doing our part as people who stay in the community and as people who's elected officials in the community to start working together a little bit more. Because lately I have seen a lot of crazy stuff, and I don't do Facebook at all. Really, people tell me about Facebook. Let me rephrase that. There's a lot of crazy stuff that's happening, and we're striking our government officials down, and that's not right. I mean, in biblical times, they say we're supposed to pray for you guys. You know, it's instead of us knocking you down, we should pray for you and God and help God guide you in the right direction and everything. So I just ask everybody that's watching today and everything, start posting good things about Hope Mills and the elected officials and work together. So if we have a problem in our communities, it's not going to get solved by being on Facebook or going to meet. It's going to get solved by us working together in the community to get the job done the right way. And so I just wanted to come here today and just say that. Like I say, I'm at home now, so I got my time, and y'all see my face a lot more now. And I want to give back to my community. One thing I learned in the military is whenever you leave a place, you always want to make it better than how you found the place. Well, it's going to be here for a while. We got a lot of work to get done, you know. And I want to do my part in the community. And I ask everybody else to do their part in the community to make Hope Mills a place and a destination where everybody wants to come and be at in the future. That's all.
Thank you so much. What a blessing for you to be here.
Manager had the question.
No, I just wanted to give my card.
Oh, okay.
And we also have a spot open, we have a couple spots open on the Veterans
That's right.
Committee, so
That's right.
see Jane if you're interested in joining the Veterans.
Yeah, I've been more than meet already.
Next we have is Aria Lynch. All right.
We all want to be like.
So we're gonna hear from the little one too?
Hopefully not. She said her piece out in college. So, I'm Aria Lynch, 3922 Shire Street, Hope Mills, North Carolina, 28348. I live in the Valley End subdivision. My husband and I are actually Jack Britt High School graduates, and we have been active duty Army family for the last 18 and a half years. And we've been residents of Hope Mills for the last 8 years. Last week, I received this notice on my door for tall grass. It was jarring to get this, especially considering the line, please remove the violations as soon as possible before legal action. It's a first notice from code enforcement, so why is it so jarring? Because the person who put this on my door, who apparently didn't see the exposed Met line that would easily explain the weeds not being mowed, had to have dodged the potholes on Applegate Road to get to my door, which is the main input for our neighborhood. I know you all know about Applegate Road, because I spent most of 2020 and a good chunk of 2021 trying to get it taken care of. We are run off the road daily because we are down to one lane of passable traffic in 2 sections. With Beaver Circle impassable, hundreds of homes rely on Applegate Road for everyday travel, emergency services, and school buses for our children. While the town points the finger at the developer for being responsible for the road, and the developer points the finger right back at our town, our vehicles are being damaged. Car accidents are happening, pedestrians and bicyclists are dodging cars as they avoid potholes and other vehicles. This town approved the plans and permits for our neighborhood with Applegate Road as the entry road. This town agreed to take it over. I know that, the developer was supposed to do A, B, and C, but that's not the responsibility of the thousands of residents who use this road. The failure to secure the road has led to dangerous conditions for everyday traffic, school buses, ambulances, fire trucks, sanitation trucks, and the dozens of patrol vehicles that we see in our neighborhoods on a weekly basis. It's upsetting that the town cares so much about the tall grass ordinance, but not about that. That they care so much about the tall grass, but not about the thousands of code violations that were ignored by inspections when new construction was approved. To care about grass enough to waste taxpayer dollars to drive around neighborhoods and put things on our doors, but not enough about one of the most basic needs to actually get a public safety hazard taken care of within the last 5 years. If Applegate degrades to the level of Beaver Circle, there will not be a reliable road available for emergency services during the rainy season. I don't know what the status is for resolving Applegate Road, but I do know the developer is still building in Hope Mills. Mayor Warner, your message on our town website says that Hope Mills holds safety and security as a top priority and puts hope as a high priority for our citizens, whom we still identify as neighbors. All that we, your neighbors, want is a safe road home. Every time that we have left or returned to our homes for the last several years, we've been in danger. We're not hopeful or very confident about the commitment to securing the safety of Applegate Road. So please put this back on the active burner and get this taken care of. Thank you.
Ma'am?
Yes.
He's got one.
That's how I want you.
Ma'am? I want you to know that we have addressed Deaver and Applegate Road. However, those roads are not in the city limits. And if we put one gravel in those holes, then we're responsible for them forever. We are working to try to resolve these problems. As you know, they're getting ready to build more out there. As you can see, the hundreds of acres cleared. It's gonna be my goal to have sidewalks on both sides of these new roads that's going into the subdivision. And there will be a new entrance, it's my understanding, off of Camden Road, through Miss Johnson's old property. And you know where I live? Okay, if you have another problem, come by and see me, and let's sit down and talk about it.
Thank you, sir.
If you remind me, I'll give you a card before you leave.
Thank you, sir.
Thanks, ma'am. I'm sorry, thank you.
Don, isn't Applegate one of the roads that we're working on?
We cannot touch Applegate Road right now because it is adjacent to county on both sides of the street, so we don't have any standing to take that road as part of the town's road network.
We tried that before.
Hey, the only problem is that I stay with her chief in that same area, but we paying a lot of money out there. Them houses, we paying a lot of money. So that's why I'm coming in nice and working together.
What I'll say is, that's why I gave both of y'all my cards. I sent about 2 months ago, a resident contacted me. There's a very detailed email I can send to you that actually explains what's happening with Summer Drive, Deaver Circle, and Applegate. They are long-term projects, but they are remedies that will fix all of these things. And I have the plans and things of that nature, so you'll see what we're talking about. But it'll explain to you what's going on and the jurisdictional stuff that kind of basically outlines the fact that we don't have the jurisdictional authority to fix it, but the projects that I'm going to highlight in the email will tell you what's actually going to happen to fix the issue.
The only caveat, and I'm not touching about terms, I'm still my time going. The only caveat to that is, I say, been in the military for a couple of years now. The problem with that said is you have soldiers that active soldiers still going back and forth to work. And I'm telling you, being in the military for a while now, one person get injured or get killed, it's a wrap. And then why should we have to come to that situation when we keep addressing it, that it seemed like, hey, who cares? Put gravel that road, take over the road, we pay taxes anyway. Raise our taxes if you have to. I mean, because I'd rather for to save a life than to keep playing this game and we lose a life, and then we in Hope Mills spot on TV for a soldier losing their life. That's not a good look. And then you have everybody moving out of the neighborhood, because guess what? The military will blacklist that area and say, our soldiers are the harm way. Let's move them out. Like I say, I spent a time in the military. I know this. So we should be addressing this like one of the top areas, especially when you got a builder coming in there and steady building. We're just saying, hey, builder, stop on the wrist, keep building. No, that's not right. Hey, builder, who are in the neighborhood, y'all gonna stop right now. You're gonna fix these roads, or you're not building no more in our city limits at all. And we have to take charge and be responsible as a group community. We can't break the buildings, but we need to talk to them and say, hey, these soldiers are going away and fighting in the battlefield. I've been in Afghanistan, Iraq, I've been in different places I can't even talk about. All right, but guess what? The good thing about me leaving, if I know my family said, okay, when I come back home. But these soldiers don't have that opportunity. These soldiers, they can leave and then the wife get ran off the road because somebody ain't paying attention, and they the wife in the hospital. How can they go fight for their country when they worry about their family on a road that's here? Afghanistan got better roads than we got here. That's not right.
Jensen, do we have, is there a way we can contact the developer and see if they have any solutions since it was their,
It's a jurisdictional nightmare, because, and I know this is a message that citizens don't want to hear. We do not have the jurisdictional authority to do the fix. What we're doing is approving projects that actually create another avenue into Valley Inn that would render Applegate obsolete as an access point. So as of right now, we don't have it's not in our limits. So it's not that I'm saying that it's not ours. It's not like I'm skirting the responsibility, but we don't have the jurisdictional authority to actually fix Applegate. And the developers that we've just approved the project to connect to Applegate, they haven't started construction yet, but that is the new entrance that will provide the entrance to Applegate off of Camden Road. It's just that I understand the urgency of the neighborhood, but it's that versus the long-term goal of the project to actually create that solution.
I understand that, sir. I'm not getting nobody about this, but the question is, if a soldier right now goes out there and have accident on that road, who's gonna come out there? The sheriff or Hope Mills? It's gonna be the Hope Mills personnel come out there because it's Hope Mills city limits.
No, it's not Hope Mills city limits. That's what I'm trying to explain. That area of Applegate is not inside town limits. And so that's a little bit difficult to understand from a residential standpoint. But from Camden all the way up to Brettonwood, none of that area is inside town limits. That's why I said email me and I'll see it, because the email I have, it has maps that actually show the jurisdiction. It has the actual projects that we have approved. So the only thing we can do that's proactive, that is a viable solution, is to push for projects that create an alternate route into that neighborhood, which we've already done. They just haven't started construction yet.
So if I disagree, you do have jurisdictional capability, right? And in that, you constantly keep approving JSJ to build inside of Mill City. This thing has been an issue for 5 years, so you say it's a long-term plan, right? It was 5 years ago, that it's 5 years not long enough to address this issue, right? So if you, the board, own the authority to authorize the developer to continue to invest in Northtown, they should be investing into basic innate necessities that we are entitled to as every human being in this room. We're entitled to safety. We're entitled to have safe and travel roads where we don't have to worry about our family members, our neighbors, and everyone we're involved. So yes, I get it. I've seen all the emails. We've been working this, my wife and I, for a number of years. We've been in touch with the town lawyer where we've got the back and forth. We talked to JSJ, and I get it. And you know what? He doesn't want to do anything, and it appears that you guys don't either. But you do have it, right? And the action you take is hold him accountable where it matters, right? Go after him and stop approving him to conduct bad business in the town if it's not good for our citizens. That's all.
Yes, sir. You know, the one thing all we want to do is build a house, get the money and go. We have to live there all the time. I live in that area myself. I call my house the last house in the slums because they built a big new one right next door to me. There is, however, a plan for a entrance off of Camden Road, right there past the church, or whatever it is.
I'm aware, and you know what, I fully support it. But what do we do today? Because the road is a problem a year ago, the road is a problem today, it's going to be a problem tomorrow. So how do we get something that is more realistic in time that enables security for the road and not continuously kicking this can out? Nothing but respect for all of you guys, but I can totally understand it's a different optic. We're a little bit closer to the problem. But we're just asking, identify creative solutions for a complex problem. That's all we're asking.
We will, let our town manager and our attorney give us an update at our next board meeting on what might be, if nothing more, give us an update on how fast these new changes will be made. But we need something so that we can let our citizens know what we're doing to make this a better situation. So,
Because I'll tell you what happens right now, if base come and say it's blacklist, everybody's getting their subdivision, you talking about whole list on millions and millions of dollars. We all move out.
thank you. And that's all public comments. Now we'll move to, thank you. Now we'll move to our consent agenda, and I do know that I've been asked to move 2 items from consent to new business, and that would be item D and item E. Are there any other items that would need to be considered off the consent agenda?
Motion so approved.
Have a motion to approve the consent agenda consisting of A, B, and C. Have a second.
Second.
Motion and second. All those in favor signify by raising your right hand. Seeing none opposed. We have no old business, so new business. Consideration of acceptance of an annexation request received at 2.2608 acres, more or less, at the intersection of Corporation Drive and Chickenfoot Road. If accepted, it will require approval of resolution number R 2023-15. Do we have any questions about this, or anybody?
Mayor, make a motion, we approve or adopt resolution R 2023-15, directing the clerk to investigate the sufficiency of the petition.
Have a motion and a second. Motion and second. All those in favor signify by raising your right hand. Seeing none opposed. Next, we have item D from our consent agenda, and that's budget amendment number 32 in the amount of $47,700 for NCDOT road funds received in the prior year, fiscal year 21-22. Turn it over to Ms. Holland.
What's your question?
Okay. Commissioner Rowland.
So the question I had, now this money is coming due to the road widening. This is the money that we actually got from DOT.
This is money that we received from DOT for the easement to the right of way.
Okay,
So there were some things we had to relocate and move out of the easement, and we're using the funds that we received in order to pay for those things. We had to move the light pole up our park, and part of the fence, and we had to move the backflow prevention devices on our irrigation system.
okay, now, my question is when last year, and I asked about this for when it came to Veterans Memorial Park about the money and how we had no money to do anything because of, we didn't have the money from the road widening. How did the money magically reappear for here?
Well, I don't know anything about those questions. They weren't asked to me directly, but we got about 80,000 in last year's budget. We got about 30,000 this year.
30,000? Is
We've
that's,
got about 120, give or take, total.
Combined.
And we need to use those funds in order to, hey, there's some other things that we're gonna have to move out of the way. The fence around the retention pond by the library, part of that fence is gonna have to be taken down and put it back. We're gonna have to pay for that. There may be some other things that we don't know of yet. So we're gonna use those funds at the time that we have to spend it.
Madam Mayor, because I do know that the initial came out because this time I had to move the county, take a large portion of Veteran Park. And I can't remember the monetary amount, but I do know that the county, it was talking about moving the county again, but I do know that concrete slab, because we're thinking about safety. Don't know how the traffic service is gonna come and what adjustments do we need to make. And if
From what I understand about DOT and the cannons, last I heard, it didn't have to move, we didn't have to do anything.
That's what our letter said.
I wasn't involved in those meetings, but I wasn't told to fund anything or
The
use
letter
any
that we
funds.
got from DOT stated that it would not be moved, that it would not be interfered with, and
Right.
that they would be very cautious as they did any work in that area. Yeah.
because my whole concern was, because when we went through this, when we had the whole committee that was started for the Veterans Memorial Park, our whole thing was, that's why, John Zoka and Kirk Devier tried to get us money, is because the town had no money, and here's the money showing up
Now,
there.
that money that we've got from John Zoka was actually given to the Cook County Veterans
Yes.
Association.
Right.
But,
And then that's the money we got from them.
exactly.
The money from this right of way has nothing to do with
No,
that.
no, because when we asked about this money, and we said there was no money, that's why we had to go through John Zoka.
Now, the money for the right of way would
I'm
have.
not sure who you asked about this money.
you talk about
Mr.
that.
Rosaro's.
Okay.
I know you're talking about the initial money that they did give some funds initially. But I do know that fund was put in, if I'm not mistaken, I can check, it was put in general fund. I do,
Right.
yes.
And I've got it set aside if we need to use it for anything having to do with the right of way or the easements. And that's what we're doing with this. This budget amendment only covers moving the light, the fence, and the backflow.
Okay.
And the money from, Cumberland County Veterans Association was $50,000.
That's
We asked-
for the park.
We asked for the full amount, but when it got to where it was, it decided that it should be for all Cumberland County, not just for our veterans. So that's how
Actually,
we
we've
ended up
got some
getting the
matching
check.
funds in next year's budget to go with that 50,
55.
to kind of match it, yes.
No other question.
All right, the other question.
No, I said no other questions.
All right, we just,
You still need to vote to approve it.
Huh?
You still need to vote to approve it.
that's what I'm saying. A motion to approve D.
Right.
We just did D. So I have a motion to approve D.
I'll make that motion.
Okay, motion.
Second.
Please second. All those in favor, signify by raising your right hand. Seeing none opposed, next is budget amendment number 33, the amount of $15,000 from the general fund to cover extra charges from the town attorney. These extra costs are allowed in the attorney contract and cover multiple situations where extra time is spent.
It might be deferred to.
Yeah, I'll
I'll.
chime in on this since this is my billing. The vast majority of this was a personnel investigation that we were asked by the former town manager to go ahead and pay, and then that was reimbursement from the town. That's 10,000 of that 15. The remainder is the amount spent on the public records lawsuit that the board authorized.
It's listed on the agenda as a legal fee. And I will need, before I agree to move forward with that, I need to see a detailed invoice of what that paid for, the investigation and all.
The invoice was dated back in August and has already been paid. I think this is just budgetary.
The clerk's got a copy of them, I gave.
I provided them to
It's about 4.
town
It
manager.
was invoiced on, August 30th of 22 and paid on September 9th.
Here we are, almost a year from the time it was initiated.
I think it's because it's a budgetary amendment at the end of the budget season.
We've got 3 more meetings to do a budget amendment for the current year. But if you want to table it for the next meeting, that's up to you.
Yes,
You don't need to discuss it, that's fine.
So-
Can you just say it again? Because I was trying to write the note. What was the 5,000 for?
Well, I'm not sure the exact amount of billing that I had, but I know that 10,000 was spent on a personnel investigation that we were reimbursed by the town for. We just paid it on the town's behalf, and then they said we would the bill, so we did that. And then the remainder, I think, would be for the public records lawsuit. Mayor Warner was involved in, that we were asked or authorized by the board to defend on behalf of the town.
Madam Mayor,
Yes, sir.
can we have a motion to table this matter until it comes back at the next meeting? Would that be something for us to do or done?
It's entirely up to the board, but I think you have 3 meetings left to
Yeah.
do budget amendment.
And
We can
just
approve it at the next meeting.
and just to add on,
With Rich.
I need to have budgeted funds to cover.
Yes.
But it's already been.
Motion to the table.
Motion second. All those in favor, signify by raising your right hand. We'll table this to May 15th. Okay. All right, next thing we have is town manager's report. Are there any additions or?
just wanted to highlight that, in your packet, you have the, contract for Function Events, which is the group that, Parks and Rec RFP'd out for concessions, for the baseball field. And correct for Lamarco Morrison, our Parks and Rec director, I think on May 3rd, which is the day after tomorrow, will begin offering food options for baseball games.
That's correct.
I also would like to congratulate our code enforcement officer, Claire Hines, who will be graduating from Fayetteville State magna cum laude on May the 11th. And I also want to, and we'll probably attend as staff to support her. It's a major accomplishment for her. I would like to also, I know the mayor spoke to the opening day, but this is our first hearing since that day. I think it was very well attended, and I want to commend our Parks and Rec staff for their role in that, and the Youth Association. And I want to let everyone know that we are going to work with them to elevate that even higher for next year. So look forward to some more excitement for baseball.
Thank you, Jim.
That's it.
Okay. Reminders we have, of course, noon on Thursday is National Day of Prayer. We'll be right at the gazebo right out in front of Town Hall. We do have Hudson Chambers Golf Tournament is also on Thursday. It starts at 1 at Gates 4. Prime Movers have, their meeting, which all the meetings I won't go through. But the main thing is we've got a lot of things happening in Hut Mills, and we try to keep it on the marquee down the lake so we keep everybody up to date. The liaisons, Commissioner Moore, do you have anything from the Historic Preservation Committee?
Yes, ma'am, they met on April 12th, 2023, at the Thomas Oaken, Campbell Oaken Memorial Chapel. Basically, they discussed budget needs for the upcoming year. I think they want to purchase a cover for the piano that they just got redone, or I can't think of the word. They're refurbished to add some protection, and our town manager has been working with the HPC committee for their storage concerns of their items, and kind of working out the details of that. But he's in contact with them, and he's working with them to get those needs for them.
Okay. Commissioner Mitchell with Parents Commission and Relay.
Really haven't had a meeting, and Commissioner Scroll attended for me because of the previous engagement. That's
The Parents Commission, is it, no, I forgot those names. Humble apologies. Leadership no go at the station.
Commissioner Scroll, there's Bears.
For that meeting, Madam Mayor, we elected a new chairperson. Ron Starling is now the chairperson for the Veterans Committee. We didn't have any new business. We couldn't discuss too much of our old business. We had ordered some stuff and Megan wasn't available, so we don't know the status of it, but nothing really went on there.
Mayor Pro Tem.
The Prime Movers, they are meeting Thursday, but since the last time I spoke with you all, they're really just planning for their Prime Movers Family Fun Day that's listed in the packet on Saturday, the 13th, from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. And the Parks and Rec Committee, they met last Monday. I was not present, but I'll just, Julie sent me the minutes, and I'll just highlight two things. But our chair, Mr. Hess, is here if I miss anything that he feels like it's important to mention. The splash pad should be ready to open at the end of May or the beginning of June. And the playground, we had voted to put a fence around the playground, but they're saying that people are still jumping the fence. But it is getting better. And the ribbon cutting for the Thomas Oaken Chapel, I just wanted to remind everybody that it is scheduled for May 15th. And they are relocating 10 pews, and 6 pews will remain towards the front of the chapel.
What time is it?
Oh, yeah, that's right. We're supposed to do our budget.
That's right, yeah, but.
Our budget.
We're gonna reschedule. We're gonna reschedule. We're gonna reschedule.
Okay. Mr. Hess, did I miss anything that you feel like is important to highlight?
No, I don't think you missed anything.
Okay, because Parks and Rec is always busy, and it's always like something I said, I didn't read it. So that's all.
I'm directly Mark.
Okay, yes.
I don't know if this is appropriate, but, you know, at some point,
Staff is, I did want to put a plug in because it's Saturday, but on Saturday we have trucks and stuff.
Okay.
There'll be a real big event over at the golf course. Begins at 11:02, and this is in conjunction with the police department, fire department, and every imaginable vehicle you can think of, from helicopters to Humvees, etc., are going to be there. And it's set up where children can actually touch and actually experience the vehicles and the equipment. So we ask that everybody come out. There will be 6 food trucks there. So if you don't have anything planned, or you just want to come out for a few minutes, bring your children, grandchildren, just come yourself, I'll be there, and come out to trucks and stuff on Saturday. It's Saturday, June 6th.
Do you have an alternate time that we could think about doing the ribbon cutting at the chapel? Because the 15th, I put in the budget workshop at 5.
Right, so I was just texting Megan, we're thinking perhaps
Friday might work better.
That's right.
Yeah, so could Friday better work for you all? We wanted to do it, before board meeting because you all already be here, but if Friday work, fine for you all, we can always reschedule that.
Friday the 19th.
It's Friday 19th,
The 19th?
yes.
Okay, you can see, can't make it, can't be.
What time
Send an
do you
email
think?
with a time.
We'll send an email, we'll send an email, the time to Jane, she can get it.
That would be good. And will they already have the pews out, so it'll be just.
Yes.
Gonna look
Yes, if
good?
you haven't noticed already, there's two in the back already, and they fit perfectly, like they've always been there.
And I told them we could put two up in the mayor's office also.
Okay, I did mention that, but I don't think you mentioned
If there's extras, I don't mind, I can take the.
we have about 5 that don't have places yet.
Okay.
So,
Last I heard was like 3, because
So maybe it's not-
I think the VFW was, I don't know.
and then we have two people that want to purchase too, so I think
You're
they're all.
talking about three.
Okay, well, we have extra, we can definitely put one of your.
Okay.
Madam Mayor, I have, the markup here. I think at the last meeting, you throw around the idea about putting together a yearly event calendar.
Yes.
So we need to come up with a timeline when we expect that for you to, put something together to initially get into discussion and start the planning process.
So
We don't want to keep this can down the road.
both Megan are working on that in their office today. I actually watched them, so I think in the next week or so, we'll have that calendar in electronic format and we get out to you.
Just like I said, just give us a timeline when y'all expect, be about ready to move good.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
And did you find out anything about June 19th?
Tomorrow, I'm meeting with them on tomorrow
Okay.
at 2:00.
So I know there's a proposal for us to have a June 19th celebration here on the actual day. Okay, I have, the main thing I have that I brought with me, and this is in our agenda packet, but I also have a copy for each of you, and that is the actual, Economic Development Academy that I went to with Federal Economic Development Corporation. And I just wanted you to have the reason for the glossary of terms is this is the new terminology that we're using in economic development, and since we're growing so fast, there's a lot of interest in having meals, and so if you want to talk the language, you now have some of the terms that are being used, but it was very worthwhile. We had 2 or 3 different mayors from the municipalities, and then a group of people it ranged from the hospital to Federal Tech to Federal State, but a lot of people that were interested in learning more about economic development. So it was a great workshop to go to. And then I also went to the Denim Day, and that was another event and Commissioner Sproul and I both attended that. And that was another event that was well worthwhile for us to be there because it is giving us information about the Rate Crisis Center. And the Denim Day was in response to being helpful to anyone that's been assaulted, but also recognize that it's still happening. And we did get a lot of good information from that also, a lot of good speakers there. And the others that I'm responsible for, they did not meet yet. They'll meet this month. So we did. Staff comments?
Enough for me.
Just a reminder about the bike rodeo on May 12th.
Bike rodeo, May 12th. And that event is also, for those that haven't got the information, the bike rodeo, they're going to have opportunities for children to get safety training. They'll have possibly have helmets to be given away, maybe even some bicycles, I think I heard you say. But, yeah, but the opportunity for also some actual training with the kids and the bikes. And we have a police department doing it, so I think that'll be, and free food.
Yeah. I think there's even a bouncy house or something.
Oh my goodness, and a bouncy house.
What about free ice cream?
Chief, I actually had a question. Is there a certain like bikes that you already have an overload of? Because I want to pick up some bikes, but I want like if there's
We don't have an overload, we have that some donated, and we, even if they're not brand new, if somebody no longer has a bike that's in good shape, the more we get, the more we do.
any age groups?
Any age group.
Okay.
Okay, thank you. And thank you for doing that. Okay, any other staff comments? All right then. Have a motion for a closed session.
Madam Mayor, I'd like to call for a closed session pursuant to NCGS 143-318-11A3, attorney-client privilege.
Have a motion and a second.
Second.
All those in favor, signify by raising your right hand. And we will be going to the front conference room, and if you, we will be back whenever this is over. That concludes the regular part of our meeting.